Welcome to Q&A Selling Online, with answers to questions about creating an online empire, promoting products, or building a brand. Your host, private label and e-commerce entrepreneur, Quinn Amorm.
Welcome back to the show, my friends. Today we have with us Tarik Berrada. He is the co-founder and the CSO at Chez M19, and this is an AI-powered software for Amazon sellers. Tarik, how are you today?
Good. Thanks. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
It's a pleasure to have you here. So you're in Paris right now. Is that where the office is?
Yeah, exactly. I'm in Paris. And by the way, it's after 6 p.m. and I should be at home because there's a lockdown after 6 p.m. So I'm happy to be here discussing with you.
I hope you don't get in trouble for that.
No.
So is it to have an office in Paris or around Paris, is that does that eat into profits? Is that very expensive or not really?
Yes, it is super expensive to have it inside Paris, but it's game changing because most of our employees are living in Paris. If you need to commute and spend more than 40 minutes or 1 hour commuting to go outside Paris to the office, we just don't want to have that. So we pay this extra money to have offices inside Paris. And it's always good to go outside to good restaurants, cafes, to grab something to eat, to have a drink somewhere. So it has a lot of advantages of being inside Paris.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, I bet. So you're a data scientist. Is that true? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I have an engineering background. So I studied computer science and machine learning. And I worked for more than 6 years doing data engineering in a research and development department in a French tech company called Chez. I spent all these years working on search optimization algorithms, but not on Amazon. It was on AdWords. And it's there where I met most of my co-founders. And it's from there that we decided, let's go do that on Amazon. The space is big. There are a lot of room of optimization and improvement. And here we are. We did it 2 years ago. And now we are live and optimizing on Amazon Marketplace.
Nice. Okay. So it does make sense now. It's all coming together. The being in Paris and then where you worked previously, because I saw your team and you have people that used to work at Google, ex-Criteo staff, the former senior manager at Amazon advertising, right? So to get all these people together, I figured it was either a really big task or you probably already knew them before, right? Is that the case?
Yeah, exactly. I used to know most of the team from Criteo, and the other part of the team from Google and Amazon. The link between all of us is Francois, our chief revenue officer, that used to work also in Google before. And he already created a company with our CEO before that they sold to an agency. So we are two teams, Criteo and Google, with the link in the middle. That is Francois, our chief revenue officer.
Okay, nice. So that means M19 is it's not a cookie cutter AI company that somebody else, that somebody used a template and just launched out there. You guys actually built it and know what you're doing. So
yeah, exactly. So we had the chance to do it for many years in a big research and development department in Criteo. That is like the first, by the way, it's the first company. It's the company that created remarketing. A sponsored display, the last feature in sponsored display doing remarketing on user that visited one of your products.
Yes.
It's Criteo that created this ad formats like 8 years ago. And we were working on that type of algorithms. Then we were working on optimization on AdWords.
That's fantastic. Because I did hear that before, that remarketing or retargeting, depending on the platform. But I heard that it was created by Criteo, and I actually always thought that it was like a Facebook or Google that had to develop that. So fantastic.
But unfortunately for them, like because of this cookie problem now, that with Google not allowing cookies and with Apple on Safari not allowing cross website cookie matching, now times are difficult for Criteo because of that. So they are trying to diversify to go and use other technologies, not cookie based, because it's not anymore allowed on most of major browsers.
So, without getting lost here in what we're going to get into, I just want to know when something like that gets created, and let's say Facebook then wants to use retargeting, do they get a licensing deal with Criteo or Criteo?
Yeah.
Right.
No. Yeah.
Or do they develop their own?
No, they do develop their own, because the basics and the technology itself, it's not super complex. Like like the structure behind it, dropping a cookie on a website and going on another website and reading this cookie to match the user. It's not rocket science, and it's not easy to have a pattern on technologies like that. What is complex, that each company is developing its own, is when you are linking these cookies, how are you going to estimate what is the likelihood that a user is good for a brand or not, in terms of the likelihood that the user will buy if I show him ads or not. It's this modeling part where you are trying for every user, for every display opportunity, to estimate if it's worth it to go for it, to invest, to show the ad or not. This is the complex part.
Wow. So is something like that possible to do with Amazon, to know the likelihood? Would they even share that kind of API or whatever it is with you?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. This is the core of our technology, and I guess of all the good technologies that are doing good PPC on Amazon. You need to be able to estimate with the data you have through the API, what is the likelihood that there will be a conversion on a search term for a given product. So the difference with the Google space or Criteo space or the real-time bidding space in general is that on Amazon, you don't have user-related data, but you have the ecosystem-related data, which means you have a keyword, you have a product that you want to link the keyword to, and you should decide the CPC, but you don't know to which type of users it will be displayed. So you play with what you have, which is the keyword, the placement, and the product, and you do your estimation to estimate what is the likelihood of converting if you display an ad. And this is the backbone of AI-based PPC softwares.
Oh, that's fantastic. And you said you don't have access to buyer information, right? So you don't know, no company out there besides Amazon will know if Quinn's account adds 50 items to cart and actually checks out 50 items, or no access to that information.
Yeah, there's only Amazon that has access to this information. And by the way, in Amazon organic ranking or sponsored ranking or all their internal arbitration systems, they are using different source of informations. And one source of information is user related data, like user history, address, number of times that he bought in the last 5 days, 10 days, months, or whatever. So they have a pool of many data related to the user. And this is injected in their algorithms with the search term and the product that is eligible for the search term. Everything goes inside one prediction model. And on the Amazon side, they predict if they show you a product organically or sponsored, is it likely that you will buy it or not? And this is how they decide which product they put number one and which product they put number two. So the data, they have it. They don't share it to service providers that are plugged through the API, but they use it internally to decide for their organic rank and the sponsor rank.
That is so good. Often when I'm talking to, for example, with team members, just like before getting into this call, I was talking to a team member, and they were manually searching for a keyword for one of the client's products, right? And they would type that keyword, and they told me that they were ranked organically on position 72. So I said, well, it can't be, because I just checked it, and and I had it like right below the fold on page 1, so like position 24 or something. And then I even changed to match their address, because sometimes it could be geographic location, or bad weather over where they are. And we still had the differences. And then another team member came and had something different. And also we track, there's a tool that we use also, Helium 10, where we track the position in each keyword. And Helium 10 had a completely different result too, right? Yeah. So that is it. They know they're going to show me something different because of my buying habits, which may be confusing for them, because I purchase everything with my wife's account, and then with my account, it's just searches and like my own. I don't even have a Prime membership. That's why everything is bought in my wife's account, and because that's her job, is buying things.
Yeah. So it was a super good topic when I was working at Criteo, and I was basically working also on that type of algorithms on Criteo side to decide to which of Criteo clients who will be displaying ads, and we need to arbitrate between them. It's equivalent to Amazon deciding which brand they will put before or in front of another brand. And just to make it even clearer for you, you have basically 4 big family of inputs that are used to decide for the organic and sponsored. The first one is, as you said, the user data, user history data. The second one is the visual, like the context, which browser it is, which device, what's the user agent, which is it on Mac, on Linux or Windows or whatever. The third one is the search intent, like the search query. Mm-hmm. And the last one is the product. So they combine all this user data, the contextual data, the search term intent, and product related information. They mix all this and they compute one number, which is what will optimize Amazon revenue. And what does optimize Amazon revenue is you buying, so as they can get their cut, their 15% or whatever, depending on the category, on top of that. And this is basically how it works. 4 inputs. When usually good softwares like Helium 10 or whatever that are tracking organic rank, in theory, they should, to track ranking, they should do it from different systems with different scenarios to kind of be representative of an average user that is using a given device in a given hour of the day with a given history behind the user. Or this is one way of doing it, or you can do it kind of from scratch in incognito mode with a default user agent with no history of the user or in the browser. And this you can have a kind of baseline of the ranking with no data available at this stage.
I think that this is so good, and this is confirming some of the biases that I had when it comes to the context, right? Which browser you use, or for example, years ago, this has been, I would say, almost 10 years ago, on the travel websites that that resell packages for flying and hotels and everything. If you performed a search of a package of travel, like rent a car, hotel, and flights, PC users would get the lowest first. Mac users would always get the most expensive. And this was, 10 years ago. And I can only imagine how much this has evolved now. And to know that Amazon does similar things, right? Know which browser operating system if you're on a PC, if not. But And then one of the things I can't figure out how an algorithm would know the search intent. Because depending on the keyword, I can see search intent or not. Something like cheap shoes as a search intent, right? That you want to buy the shoes. But if somebody just types red shoes, well, and then again, Google is different than Amazon because red shoes on Google may mean nothing. You want to look at a picture. And Amazon, you may want to buy them. How can that be determined, search intent on Amazon?
Yeah. So just one fun story that I had while working on these algorithms, because when you were describing all this type of information, I remembered this. It was so useful to use so many data to decide how you want to display ads or product to a user, that we discovered in my previous company that even the network provider, or if the user was on a Wi-Fi or a wired internet connection, or even it's Verizon or whatever service provider, this has an impact on the likelihood of conversion, because I think it was including other information related to location, wealth, or whatever. And even that type of information were used when we inject them in the system and in the algorithms. The output and the predictions were better and more accurate. It's just a small example to tell you that the more data you have, the more you will inject, and even some tiny ones that might seem not super relevant can give extra signal and accuracy to that type of algorithms. If I want to come back to your question related to search intent, so basically the search intent is just a combination of the raw search term with the product inputs, because from the product listing, there are a lot of information that is extracted, like words in the title, groups of 2 words from the title, number of high resolution photos of the product listing or whatever. So from the product listing, you extract a lot of what we call features in the machine learning space. And all this information is crossed with the search term itself, that also from this search term, you extract many features. Features can be number of words in a search term, the combinations of 2 words. For example, if you have cheap red shoes and you extract the combination red shoes, and you know that the combination of red shoes, when it's crossed with red shoes that is available in the title, it has a high likelihood of conversion. Because of this feature extraction from the product listing and from the search term as it is written, you extract everything, it's crossed, it's injected in the algorithms, and these combinations are giving signal to what is working in terms of conversion and what is not.
So would your tool, for example, keep a search history of I would guess from all the accounts connected, of the amount of times that red shoes converted versus cheap red shoes in this example?
Yeah. So in theory, we can do that type of optimization, but we decided not to do it for the simple reason that if we do it, if we cross data between our clients, it will be more beneficial for bigger accounts. Since we don't have user data, we have only search related data and product data. And since the big accounts has bigger history, and for big accounts with high selling products, it's cheaper for them to advertise. Your CPCs are cheaper the bigger you are and the high seller you are. So if we mutualize all the data, it will be more beneficial for the bigger accounts, and we don't want to do that. This is why in our system, every account has its own data for the prediction side. And for every account, we use its own history, because search term has a given performance to a given product. And since our customer also doesn't share catalogs, each one is a white label, a private label, they don't have the same ASINs. Each one has its own ASIN, and we know to learn the performance of a search term, that is how a given search term behave on this specific ASIN. This is the second reason why we don't do cross accounts learnings.
Okay, that does make sense because the product is a big part of the equation.
Exactly.
Okay, got it. So tell me something. What do you like the most about your tool?
It's funny because I was discussing with one colleague about that a couple of hours before, and probably you didn't even tell me anything about that question. What I like the most about the tool is the complexity. The tool is so complex and doing so many computations behind the scene and trying to expose only an easy interface where with minimum actions and operation possible, you want to control and to operate in a super sophisticated and advanced way. This is what I do believe is like the why our tool is, I think, is good because of that. Hiding complexity, showing it in a simple way, in a super fast interface where you don't need to wait seconds for actions to happen or data to load. Everything is super fast to make the experience easy, lean, and smooth. But the not related to the software, but related to the Amazon advertising space, what I find super different from the previous ecosystem I was working on is the fact that everything is correlated and mixed. When you are doing advertising, you cannot ignore logistics, retail, the listing quality. Everything is mixed. When you are running almost out of stock or close to out of stock, or you are overstocked, you should take that into account into your bidding. When you are running a promotion, you should take that into consideration because it will impact your conversion rate. That is the backbone of prediction for advertising. And the cool part of it is everything is in the same big machine that is Amazon. And all this data, we can get it from the API. So what I really like about not only our software, but about this area is the fact that we are not doing advertising outside from all the rest. We are doing our advertising, taking into consideration all the rest. And it's important to keep an eye on all the rest, and it has a direct impact to it.
Is there any way, I don't know if this exists yet, or would it be possible, looking at if you had, for example, a bunch of sales history on, let's say, my account, for example, and the trend of that account and the conversion rate, would it be possible to have a prediction tool that say, for example, if I spend $80,000 a month in advertising right now and make X, if I increase it to 140, what the outcome would be? Is there any way to get an approximate estimation tool?
Yeah, you can always have an approximation, but you have no guarantee about how good this approximation will be. This is the hardest part of advertising, mainly because of two reasons. It's super hard to estimate demand. If you are able to estimate demand, you can do a better predictions of this. By the way, you are just kind of describing elasticity between investing and getting sponsored sales that will impact your revenue. And you are saying, can we predict this link and elasticity between these two? It's hard because demand, it's hard to predict, and we don't have a lot of data from Amazon about search, absolute search volume and not relative search volume like what we can have in brand analytics or whatever. And the second reason why it's super hard to predict is competition. Competition today is super different from what it will be in 2 weeks. And the basic simple example for that is, if today you have, let's say, two competitors that are running super aggressive PPC, in 2 weeks they run out of stock, they won't be running any PPC. I can assure you that your CPCs will be way lower in 2 weeks, and your ACOS for the same advertising strategy, for the same amount of spend, your ACOS will be way lower. And you didn't touch anything. You didn't do anything. It's just competition that is changing, and even with no change in demand. So because of these two things that you cannot control and it's hard to estimate, demand and competition, making that type of prediction is tough. And personally, I avoid trying to do that predictions, because I'm pretty sure that at the end of the day I will end up with something that is not relevant.
Okay. Yeah, and the reason why I'm asking is because we did try, and the results were terrible. And I wanted to know, did I hit the ceiling? Did I cap the demand for that product, or was there any other factors that made it it's not that it was terrible, but the return of ad spend definitely took a turn for the worse, or the ACOS as well. So yeah, I was wondering if it was something to do with the demand capped, or
there are two things. What you just described, now you have more and more data provided from Amazon, like brand analytics, that, by the way, I think is not used enough because of what it brings in terms of data and value. Brand analytics can be super good to know where you are in terms of what is the remaining sales you can get. And the second thing is, what you are describing is basically you are trying to find this marginal and optimal ACOS you want to go for, because because you have an ACOS that also is changing over time, that is optimal, where when you are trying to target a higher ACOS than this one, you will go for super expensive sales, by increasing slightly your spend and investment, you will get only expensive sales. So you want to reduce your sponsored sales and spend less, because the overall ACOS will be way smaller. And the other way around, you want also to decrease slightly, not slightly, you want to decrease with the bigger steps possible your ACOS without losing a lot of sponsored sales. So this is why I'm always telling our clients, it's not because today you are running at an ACOS that you are super satisfied with, I don't know, 20, 25%, whatever, that they are not an optimal ACOS that you should be looking for. And this optimal might change in time. And in my opinion, an advanced seller will always be looking for this sweet spot and having in front and in mind margins at product group level that he is doing the experiment for, and ranking on the main keywords. So as long as you are tracking precisely your main keywords ranking and your profit for at one product level or the group of product level, you can go look for this marginal ACOS. And this marginal ACOS should move across time. So you need to continue looking for it all the time.
Now, a little bit more into M19 tool. If somebody wants to, I guess they all work a little bit similar when it comes to, you want the ACOS to be, let's say, below 25% or at 25%, you input the price of the product and all that. But is it possible that you can separate certain keywords where you don't care of the ACOS of a keyword? Let's say if there's certain keywords that I want to control, can I control that keyword? And even if it's a 300% ACOS, I don't care, as long as the others maintain their 25, 30%, whatever, that can be done.
Yeah, of course. And we are proposing it today through our platform, thanks to our a bunch of big sellers that are using our software, and they influenced our way of presenting and optimizing because it was one of their big needs. They really like that the software is doing keyword extraction, competitor extraction, bidding, everything based on ACOS. But there are some group of strategic keywords where they want to kind of override the ACOS optimization way on some way, either with they decide how they want to go for it, or they want at least to impact and influence the intensity on this group of keywords. And this is why today on M19, you have two options. Either you leave the tool do the job for your ASIN, or you tell him, okay, do the job for the ASIN, but I want to create what we call internally a tactic, where you define the group of keywords and you tell the tool, now that you know my ACOS target, you know the performance of every one of these keywords that are in the tactic, do your work, do your estimation, and tell me what's the CPC I should be bidding. The tool will compute that, and then on top of that, the tool will be applying a multiplier that will reflect the intensity the seller wants to have, either high, super high, low, or medium low. And overall, on all the keywords, not only in the tactic, I want the tool to maintain 20% ACOS. So this is the hybrid mode where they have more control in terms of intensity over a group of keywords, but at the same time, there's this ACOS guarantee at the product level. And the last one, I think this is more closer to what you described. You have a M19 strategies managing everything for you. You can exclude a group of keywords that either you manage manually yourself with a fixed bid or whatever, or you can exclude even in a dedicated strategy, so as they have their own ACOS target that might be way higher or way lower or whatever. So we have these three modes.
Okay. And you also have three types of accounts that we can register in M19 as a seller, a brand, or an agency. What's the difference between the seller and the brand?
The difference between seller and brand is the type of accounts, seller, vendor accounts. Mm-hmm. Vendor accounts are just like brands that are selling directly to Amazon. And the only limitation we have today, but it will change in the coming month because there is a beta that is open, is we cannot fetch automatically your total sales. There's no API. There's no MWS API to fetch total sales, to display them in our board to show you your profit, etc., etc. So we don't do that for vendors and brands, but all the rest is similar. So you design your strategies the same way, in a simple way, by just grouping product, choosing an ACOS target. And you can we have even some customers that own seller accounts and vendor accounts. So one part of their catalog is through a vendor account. They sell directly to Amazon. And another part of their account is like fulfilled by Amazon. They like the normal way of selling directly as a third-party seller.
Okay, and then as an agency, when I look at a tool, there's something, I don't know if other people do this, but I always measure, let's say, if this tool is going to cost me X per month and it does this function, I always check, can I get a staff member to do the same as the tool for the same price or at a lower price? And this will keep, it would keep me cost effective. And at the same time, it would keep my staff employed for longer. Now, if the tool can do a lot more things than the staff can, and for a lower price, of course, it's a good deal for me. Do you consider that this is the case, that your tool can do a lot of jobs and it would outperform having more staff?
Yeah, I'm sure 100% that you cannot replace a human, like what I call the operator, either it's the brand owner or the agency. So this is why on our tool we have like dashboards when you have your data to monitor, analyze what's happening, and you have the strategy manager where you describe the strategy. So no tool can do the strategy in your like instead of a human. So strategy, it's almost impossible to do by a tool. So it will be a human, and the human brain will be always needed. So I do believe strongly that AI that you just plug, click on activate, and will do everything. It does not exist, and it won't exist unless it's a super easy ecosystem, not a lot of competition or whatever, which is not the case. So going from that, I believe that agencies will always need people. What we are trying to solve is all this massive work with mathematical precision and thousands of operations a day and every day working every hour with no rest. We want to delegate this manual part and this precision part to a machine that is meant to do it and that can do it way better than a human. And we want to use the human brain only for the strategy part. So I believe that a tool is good for an agency when it can make the agency spend only time in the strategy work with the client and with putting in place things. And with one person, way more accounts can be managed, and the output, result, and performance should be better with this combination compared to one person doing it manually with no tool, or compared to one tool doing it alone with no maestro on top of it doing the strategy.
Got it. So that was the perfect answer. Tarik, I know you have to go, and soon you may be arrested for being there too late. So let everybody know where they can find out more about your tool and more about you.
Yeah, so our website is m19.com. And please, if you have any question related to the tool or just to PPC in general, I love to speak about these topics. You can reach directly to me, to Tarik, Tarik, at m19.com. And I would be happy to answer or help when I can. Otherwise, if you just want to get information related to the tool, there's always our website, m19.com.
Perfect. And the 19 is just the numbers, 19. Was it hard to get that short domain, M19?
Yeah, it was.
It was?
Yeah, it was hard to get. Yeah, but now that we have it, we're happy to have a short domain like this one.
Yeah, incredible. Tarik, thank you so much for this. Of course, we have to stay in touch and maybe do this again, because it was really mind-blowing, the stuff that I love to hear. So
thank you a lot. It was a pleasure. Thanks.
Thank you.